Hey there, welcome back to the next episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. My name is Kirsten and today's episode is a Q&A episode where I'm answering the questions that you have asked me. And you can always send me your questions. You can send them to my email, kirstenkimura@gmail.com. You can also send them through the Instagram messages. You can also drop them in the comment section on YouTube. Wherever you can reach me, you can send me your questions and I'm happy to answer them on the podcast too. So today we're talking about the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, and can you speed that up? We're also going to talk about protein. We're also going to talk about going to muscle failures, a lot of good things that we're going to cover in today's podcast. And the first question is, can a person's BMR be increased once it has been decreased by dieting and severe restriction? And the quick answer is yes, absolutely. You can increase your BMR, but maybe let's talk a little bit more about what is BMR if you don't know what that is. So BMR is your basal metabolic rate, right? So this is roughly the estimated number of calories that your body burns to perform all its functions, right? So that is to keep your heart beating and to keep your body digesting food, cell renewal, breathing, sweating, all these things, they require energy. Even thinking, right? Even just like reading, all these things require energy. And this is what makes up your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. And we can definitely slow that basal metabolic rate down if we are restricting calories and when we are dieting non-stop. And this becomes a real problem because not only are you not able to burn calories anymore if your BMR is super low, also you start to develop all sorts of issues with your health. Hormones go out of whack, you can't sleep anymore, you're feeling terrible, you're chronically fatigued. All these things are related to long-term dieting and eating too low calories. And the question is, can you then increase it? Because it is absolutely true that when we do these things, when we do diet hard and we do crazy restrictive diets that are short and intense, or maybe we do them longer, it doesn't matter. We always decrease our BMR. And now somebody who has decreased the BMR to a very low point and has been doing it for a long time, this person is not sure if she can increase it anymore. And of course you can increase it, absolutely can, because your metabolism is flexible. So it's literally doing the things based on the signals that you are sending it. So if you are sending your body a signal that we have plenty of food and there's plenty to burn, then this is what your body will do. This is how you increase your BMR. But if we're sending our body a signal that there's not enough food, you gotta be careful, don't burn too much, don't spend too much, then your BMR will be low and you will not be burning calories. And this is when you run into all of these issues that I mentioned. So absolutely, you can increase your BMR. Again, your metabolism is flexible. It can go both ways. So every time you decrease your calories, and by the way, even when you do it in a smart way, you have a fat loss goal and weight loss goal, and you want to decrease your body weight and your fat percentage, and you will take your calories down. Even then, your metabolism slows down a little bit. But when we do it in a controlled manner, we don't stay in deficit for too long, then that's okay. So it's just temporarily slowing down the metabolism, but then we always have to increase it. A couple of episodes back, I talked about the full fat loss cycle. So we always have to bring the calories back up again. We can't continue to eat very low calories. And this is, as I mentioned in that episode too, this is the number one mistake that I see women making. So of course, after you have been in a deficit for a while, you have to come out of this and you have to start increasing your calories. And this will also increase your basal metabolic rate. And this is very interesting to see how it's so hard for a lot of women to believe that. Like, what do you mean if I start increasing my calories and I'm going to lose all the progress that I made? And no, this is not true. You're not going to lose your progress if you do it in the right way. And right now I'm working with somebody and she's so surprised. She's telling me that I'm eating 300 calories more than I did when I was in my fat loss phase, and my weight has not changed and my measurements have not gone up. How is this possible? And there's a couple of reasons, but one of them is that you now have more muscle in the body because you have been eating high protein, you have been lifting heavy weights, so your metabolic rate is higher and all these new calories will be burned quicker. So she's now able to eat more, and it's not gonna show on in her measurements or her weight. So long answer short, yes, your BMR can absolutely be increased after you have restricted, and not only can be increased, it should be increased, because if you don't, you're going to develop a bunch of not fun issues with your health, and you always find yourself having to do tons of cardio and eat less and less and less to maintain your current physique, and this is no way to live. All right, let's move on to the second question. For maintaining muscle, is muscle failure and progressive overload needed? Okay, so for maintaining muscle, is muscle failure and progressive overload needed? So from this question, I get this impression that this person thinks that muscle failure and progressive overload are one and the same thing, but they are not. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about strength training in general. So how do we get results? As I often talk about in this podcast too, we get results when we challenge our body. And that's why we can stick with the small dumbbells or a small, very light barbell or just body weight exercise only if there's no progressive overload. We have to increase either the weight, or we have to increase the time under tension, or we have to increase the reps. We have to somehow progressively overload our body to get results. Okay, so this is really key. There's a couple of different ways to do it. The most known one is, of course, taking just heavier weights and working with them, but it's not the only one. Like I said, you can also do a couple of other things. You can do higher reps. For example, if you don't have heavier weights, which is the case for many people right now who maybe don't have still the access, gym access, they just have to do heavier weights, or they slow down their reps a little bit. So there has to be a way how we can progressively overload. Now, she's also asking about muscle failure. So going to failure, what does that mean? Going to failure means that you do reps so that you just basically drop the weight, right? The last rep, you just can't finish, you cannot complete the rep, and you do your workouts that way. But they are not the same thing, okay? So you can progressively overload your body without going to failure. And let me give you an example. Let's say that I use, for shoulder presses, I use 25-pound dumbbells. Okay, I've been doing this for maybe 4 weeks, and now I feel like, okay, I'm getting stronger. This week, I'm gonna try 30 pounds. And I can still, do 6 to 8 reps, and I feel like the last 2 are really burning, okay? It's really challenging my muscle. But I don't drop the weights, right? I don't go to failure. You don't have to go to failure. It's just you still complete your reps, but you don't have to go to failure. So they're not the same thing. And one reason why I don't want you to go to failure is that it's extremely taxing on your central nervous system, and recovery from that is really hard. So I don't know anybody, honestly, who goes to failure every single workout and gets great results, because all your body does then, if this is how you train, is recovery, and you'll never get stronger, because the body just does not have the resources, doesn't have any time to recover, to build up the muscle tissue again, to repair the tissue. It just doesn't have any chance to do that. So don't go to failure. If you want to go to failure, you can try, once in a while. Okay, that's fine, but it shouldn't be every single one of your workouts. Now, progressive overload, yes, you want to challenge your body once in a while. See, can I use heavier weight? Can I do more reps with that? And you can also check out the podcast episode that I did with Sarah Staples. She breaks it down really in a really great way, and talks about why this is important and how to do it in the right way. So the way that I want you to train for maximum results is challenge yourself with weights if you have them, and try to do 1 or 2 more reps next week. And by the way, you're not going to progress every single week. Maybe you progress next month and the next month. And of course, there is, upper limit to it, because if there was no upper limit, we would all be lifting very, very heavy weights and, 600 pounds deadlifts or whatever. Some people can do it. I don't think I can ever do it, but 600 pounds is a lot. But, there's of course upper limit to it, but still every once in a while you should try to pick up heavier weights or do a couple of more reps. So this is your progressive overload, but it's not the same thing as going to failure. I hope it's easy to understand. Okay, and then the last question was, I have to look it up real quick. The last question is, can you lose body fat while eating the same amount of calories, but just eating high protein? So is it true that basically it's not about the calories, but it's about the protein? So I do talk a lot about protein. Protein is a really important macronutrient. Of course, all three, fats and carbs too, they are important. But when we're talking about building muscle, getting stronger, speeding up your metabolism, protein is very important, maybe a little bit important than the other two. But the question is, can you then just eat the same amount of calories that you ate before, just increase your protein? Can you lose body fat this way? And now it really depends on who we're talking to. If we are talking to somebody who is already eating more, much more than what they're expending, let's say that the person is burning about 2,000, but she's taking in 3,000 calories, and then now she just switches to higher protein, but her calories still remain at 3,000, then she's probably not going to get the results that she wants to get, because her calories are constantly over. Okay, so of course, in that sense, calories matter as well. Now let's talk about somebody who is eating at maintenance. Let's say that she's burning, through BMR and exercise 2,300, and she's eating about the same, but she doesn't right now pay any attention to protein. Now, this person, when she gets her protein right to the right level, then yes, this person can have this nice switch where she's going to let go of some body fat and build some muscle when she is strength training at the same time. So yes, protein can definitely help you with that, but if we are eating excess calories, the excess calories are still excess calories, and then you won't get the results that way. So that's why it's so helpful to track your food and see how much you're currently eating, and see that, are you eating enough? That's the first thing. Like, if you want to build muscle, you have to eat enough, because muscle doesn't come on the body from nowhere, right? You need energy for it, but you also cannot, you may also find that you are eating too much, and this is why you're not seeing the results. And this is what I found when I, in early 2020, when I wanted to start this fat loss journey for myself, and I started tracking, and I wanted to figure out where I'm at. And I found that, yes, I am eating more, quite a bit more than where I'm maintaining. And that's why I was gaining weight. And that's why I had not excess, but body fat that I wasn't comfortable with. So I had to decrease my calories a little bit. I didn't do a huge deficit, but I decreased a little bit. And then I also, like, in a big way, increased my protein, which I had not paid attention to previously at all. And so this small shift paid off really well. So yes, protein is important, but also your calories have to be right. And with many of my clients who are totally new to tracking, these are the two things that we start with: tracking your calories, tracking your protein. And once they are comfortable with that, then we add the carbs, and then we add the fats, because these are, yes, they are important. And especially knowing how many people are under eating carbs right now. So definitely it's important to track those too, but the first steps is to understand where your calories are coming from, how much you're eating, are you overeating or are you undereating, and then finding out the right calories for you, and then get your protein to the right place. And speaking of protein, my protein guide is still available. It is in my YouTube description, it is in the show notes, it's on my blog, it's in my Instagram bio, so it's literally everywhere. And I created this because I just know how big of a difference it can make in your health, in the way you look, in the way you feel, how your energy is, and all that. It's a game changer. And I just know that with most of my new clients, they are not getting enough protein. Even if they think that they are, they say, yeah, I'm eating protein at every meal, but it comes out that it's maybe 1 egg, or it's like 2 ounces of chicken, or it is something very, very small. And this is nowhere near what we want to have to change our body the way we want it to change. So make sure that you grab that guide. It really breaks it down for you in a really easy way. It helps you to understand how much you should be eating for your goals, and even where to get those proteins from. I think there's about 40 different protein sources that you can choose from. So a lot of options there. All right, this is all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. If you ever have any questions, just send them my way, and I'm really happy to answer them on the podcast. So thanks so much, and take care.